John Wilburn and Marie March for the Roanoke Street Podcast. Our guest today is Cory Hubbard, CD Hubbard here in Dublin. We want you guys to learn a little bit about him and his business. So, Cory, tell us a little bit about what you do, and this might be a clue back here as to what he does.
We run a 24-hour road service record business. We run a full-service shop. We have 2 locations here in Dublin, Virginia, and Christiansburg, Virginia. We do everything from light-duty towing, heavy-duty rollovers, heavy-duty towing, short distance, long distance. Basically, if you break down, we'll come get you.
If you see a truck that's over an embankment somewhere on the news and they're pulling it out, it's usually one of these trucks that's doing it. Tell us a little bit about how you got into this, where you started. Because people don't just decide they're going to open a business like this overnight. This has to be built over a long period of time.
Back in 2007, 2008, the economy was taking a bad downturn. I had lost my job. I was a welder at Volvo for 4.5 years. I was in my early 20s at the time. Really didn't know where I was going to go, what I was going to do. So I started buying and selling heavy equipment. I had a good friend of mine who got me into that stuff. We started exporting stuff all over the world. I mean, it was unreal. The places we saw, the things we done.
Like used equipment?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
We was buying out imagine this yard full of equipment.
Auction stuff?
Well, it wasn't even an auction. At that time, the auctions couldn't even move equipment fast enough.
Wow.
And these companies were going out of business. Like these mom and pops, they had worked for 50, 60, 70 years, 3rd and 4th generation contractors, and they completely lost their butts on these jobs and stuff. So they'd have 100, 200 piece yards just full of equipment stacked. You would walk into their office, and the people that had money knew these people. They'd sought them out and stuff, and they would have a detailed list of the piece of equipment, the make, model, serial number, and the hour meter at that time. We would go in and we would spend a day or 2 days going through all the equipment, checking it out. And then they would want X amount of dollars for it. We would make X amount of dollar cash offer. 9 times out of 10 it got bought.
Yep.
Well, then we would spend another week down there, depends on the size of the yard, loading this equipment out.
So where all was this? All over the country?
We mainly stayed North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, West Virginia, kind of in the tri-state area, what I call it. I couldn't tell you the amount of tractor trailers I loaded out.
And then you turn around and sell them on?
Most of the time, here's the thing about it was, the guy I was partnering up with, he had most of it already sold before he even bought it. And it was exported. These tractor trailers, they was convoy going to the ports.
Wow.
They was loading Baltimore and Florida
So
up.
sea containers of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
We was cutting stuff up, slinging it in sea containers, and they was buying it hand over fist. It was unreal. A lot of it was going to the gold mines in South Africa.
Wow.
I never even knew any of the stuff even existed.
That's crazy.
And these people were coming over dressed better than unreal. I mean, and the amount of money that they would just blow, it was mind blowing. But so that settled down. That was a niche market. That was
Happened quick.
It was quick, fast, in a hurry. Well, how I got paid was any of the older stuff that he didn't want or that needed a little bit of repair, I was getting transport for free to my first shop that we have, that we sanded it, painted it, fixed it, whatever, and then I sold it.
Wow.
So
That's how you were getting your
That's how I was getting my money.
Yeah.
So I had 2 guys working for me that was sanding and painting equipment.
Wow.
And so there was stuff, so that was going on. I started slowing down. I had a good friend of mine, he's now passed. His daddy was actually a record driver and a mechanic and a road service guy. There actually used to be an International Harvester dealership across the road from us. And he was their record driver. Well, so what he done on the side when he wasn't towing or working, he started up a road service company. So it was called Oliver's Roadside. He ran it until he wasn't physically able. He passed, gave it to his son. His son ran it till he wasn't able. So I bugged him for 6 months. I said, just sell me this. And he didn't have a lot. He didn't even have a service truck. He didn't have nothing. He just had contacts. And so finally he said, you know what, you done blow me enough, but I'm gonna sell it to you. So I bought it. I started off with one service truck. This was around 2010-ish, 2011-ish.
Was that That one? No.
No, it was just a service truck.
Service
We're
truck.
talking about just like a plain old F-350 Ford with a little service body
Okay,
bed on it. I
okay.
mean, we're talking rinky dink.
Yeah.
You know, we're not talking about nothing. It didn't even have no lettering on it. It didn't have nothing on it. I mean, we was incognito big time. So I got into that, took his contacts over, rebranded the company. At the time, it was just CD Hubbard equipment because we was buying and selling equipment.
Yeah.
So Mom, bless her heart, she was doing my taxes and stuff at the time. She said, so now what are we going to do? She said, you're not really the equipment, so you going to keep going with this, or what are you going to do? So that's where the and service came about. So that's how, that's how we kind of escalated into that. So I started off with one service truck. I ran it for a year, wore it out, built another old truck, wore it out.
The story about you wearing out the service truck and getting another one's pretty good in itself. I was at the shop when that happened.
Oh God.
So you've known him for years and
I've
years.
known Cory for a long time. He's been a client of mine for probably close to 15 years.
Probably,
And I've
yep.
sold him, I think, every piece of
So
real
you
estate.
watched
he
him
owns.
grow from this to
Yes,
this.
I've
That's
watched this
awesome.
whole thing happen in real time.
He used to walk in my office at the old shop, which it was one of these portable outdoor buildings, like you spend like $1,500
I
on.
called it a dollhouse.
Yeah, there's a dollhouse. And so we spent, I don't know, $500 or $600. We went inside of it, put flooring in it, insulated it. I mean, put windows in. I mean, it looks
Yeah.
pretty legit.
Had everything with a bathroom and a sleeping quarters.
That was it. And so we went from that to this, which was a pretty big step for me.
Sometimes you almost want to go back to those days. I know my husband and I are kind of like, what have we done? Like we have an empire now. It gets big.
It gets big and gets big quick.
Yeah. It's a lot of paperwork.
The hardest thing to do when you get in business and you get, I would say, successful is saying no.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
That's a lot of problems that I have. I can't tell people no. And
Which is why he's on our podcast today.
I've gotten him to do jobs for me that I know just are a nuisance to them, but he still remembers the people that were there
You
with
have
him
to.
when he was
You have to
scrapping and
remember
clawing,
those
and I
people.
appreciate that.
You always have to remember them. They're
But-
who make you.
He still is off a half hour a day.
Yeah, I
What is
still-
the half an hour?
Well, DOT don't like when you got 24 on, say, your trucks, and so it was kind of a
Okay.
gimmick. So we lettered one truck at 23 and a half, which was actually at Red Wrecker over there. And so when I done it, and everybody talked about it. I mean, state troopers, truck drivers, everybody was just like, I've never seen that. So I was kind of like, it's kind of our niche now. So this is kind of what we stuck with. So
Your lettering. I went on and on earlier about the lettering on your vehicles. I love it. I think it's old timey and just reminds me of the Western, I guess it's hand painted, right?
it is. It's those stencils, no nothing.
Local folks.
Local
do
guy.
It for you.
One guy does it. He's actually retired, and actually every time I buy a truck, he comes out of retirement for me.
That's awesome.
So bless his heart.
It probably takes them a while to do it.
The letter of this truck, he lettered 2 trucks for me in the same week. In the one truck, he looked at it and said, "Oh yeah, ain't too bad. I'll do it." And I think he said 6 hours. And I said, "Well, I'll come and do the same thing on this truck." He said, "Hey, no problem. I'll do it." It took him 2 days to do this truck.
Wow.
By the time he laid it out and then painted it. So he told me not to call him for several weeks after that. He was not a fan.
We're going to walk around and take a look at these trucks in a little bit, but tell us a little bit about actually doing the recoveries. So what is it like from when you get a call? Who gives you the call? What's that process like?
You got 3 different. The local authorities will call you.
Because there's like a group. I've understood there's like a tow group or something where they move it around. They call each one or something.
A rotation.
You have a
Rotation,
rotation
yeah.
list.
Yeah.
You have to meet certain criteria to get
Yeah.
on that rotation list. Right here we work for the town of Dublin, Pulaski County Sheriff's Office, and Virginia State Police. Those 3 different agencies deal with 3 different types of deals. When they call, either we've got what they call a light duty wreck. Light duty wreck is anything from a passenger car, a motorcycle, up to like a 1-ton truck. That's classified light duty. When you say heavy duty, you've got a box truck turned over all the way up to an oversized load. It can be up in the hundreds of thousands of pounds. A normal tractor trailer weighs 80,000 going down the road if it's fully loaded to what it's capable of. I'm not gonna lie, and this is probably not gonna be the best thing to say. Normally when they dispatch us, they don't give us much information at all. I mean, you're working off of nothing. I got a truck wreck. Okay, is it upside down? Is it in the ditch? I'm not for sure. Is it loaded? I'm not for sure. What's it loaded with? I don't know. So,
do you get that from 911?
Yeah.
Is it the dispatcher from
Yeah.
911 that tells you? Okay, I'm just curious.
I worked a dump truck wreck last summer. They said I got a dump truck rolled over. Okay, what's he loaded with? Well, it's rolled over. He's not loaded with nothing now. that was the answer I got. So I didn't know if I was dealing with gravel, mud, cow manure, hazmat. I didn't know. So you go into it blind. So normally whenever I get a call like that, first truck I jump in is this truck over here, my rotator. Whatever I got going on,
That one right there.
that one right there.
That way you can do whatever.
I'm pretty versatile.
Yeah.
After that point is kind of where, we don't know what we're going to need. And we're going to need one of these straight stick trucks, or we're going to need equipment.
And fuel and stuff probably vary a great deal depending on which truck or does it.
What do you mean?
Like your expense of taking the truck out, like it can probably vary. The bigger, the more expensive.
What does
obviously.
a typical long recovery run you just in the diesel?
I can't even imagine.
I can't either.
It just depends on what you got. You
Yeah.
got to think, are we running this truck and this truck in a service truck? Are we running light towers? Are we running, skid loaders, excavators, roll-off trucks, tractor and trailers? I mean, it is so
And
varied.
at the scene of an accident, it probably depends on how long it takes them to get you into where it's at, how hard it is to get to where it's
And
at.
how many trucks have to be on the scene, because when people think
Yeah.
of getting a breakdown in their car, they think the tow truck is coming.
Yeah.
But for a lot of these big wrecks,
Yeah.
it takes more than one truck.
Yeah, I mean, we're dealing with, and you're dealing with such weight.
Yes.
You say, well, I got 80,000 turned over. Well, you have to have 80 plus to bring that thing back up to you. Is it down over an embankment? Is it down over a gully?
Yep.
And I've worked some stuff. I've had propane truck rollovers.
Have you had to use multiple trucks to pull stuff out
Oh yeah,
all the time?
Yeah, I had one time. We had 4 trucks on it.
Have you ever had to pull your own truck in order to get? Because the reason I asked, we had a tow truck that went off our driveway that I was trying to help pull out with my tractor. It was a disaster. We had a complete disaster. But they ended up bringing out 2 trucks to get the 1 truck out.
Normally, if I know I'm going into a bad spot,
Yeah.
I'll wind up taking 2 trucks.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I try to think I'm smart enough to know I'm not going to get my 1 truck stuck, but you don't ever know.
Yeah.
And normally, if I'm going into a place like that, it's pretty bad, anyways.
And you've got drivers capable
Yeah.
that are good.
Yeah, I've got several drivers. I've got some part-time guys, and I've got some full-time guys,
Yeah.
including myself. And like I said, when my phone rings, you don't know where you're going to go.
Yep.
I've got one customer, when they call, I've got to drop what I'm doing. Either me or one of my drivers, we've got to go.
Yeah.
One of my drivers had to go to Knoxville, Tennessee on the drop of a hat. I went to Pennsylvania for them. I go wherever. They're a really good customer of mine,
Yep.
obviously.
Yep.
But it's the recovery side of it is it's a very expensive market to be into. Anybody can buy a tow truck, and you can tow for anybody. When you say I'm in the recovery market, you've got to have stuff to work with.
And I'm sure there's insurance you've got to cover too.
Yeah.
The insurance policy.
Our insurance policy for all of our trucks, we're north of 30 now. So, when you go out and work a recovery, I mean, they're expensive, yes, but you got a lot of stuff in there you got to pay. We should do a lot of road service. Right now, we're running anywhere between 2 to 3 trucks every single day. I've had my guys in West Virginia, North Carolina, here, Tennessee, all in the same day.
And that's why it's quiet in the shop today, is because everybody's out working.
Yeah, I've got a lot of people out. One guy, he hasn't come in. He was out till 4 or 5 o'clock this morning on a tow call. So another heavy wrecker, it's already out on a tow. He's booked up all day. So I mean, business is good right now. I'm not gonna lie. The roadside service part of it is kind of what feeds our wreckers. You get called out. I've had a brake fire. Brake fire could be anything from actually a driver overheating the brakes. You've got a blowed wheel seal, which has pumped oil out onto the brakes. You've had a brake fire. We actually worked a wreck 2 days ago. A driver blew a tire. He drove a half a mile with a blow tire. It caught the trailer on fire. It was a big incident. So I mean, you don't know what you're going to get when you get out there to these calls.
So how in the world do you even staff? Like, you just are all your guys just checking in and on call once they get some sleep? They're outside, they can clock back in, or
we run a rotation, which is things have grew so big. You know, there for the longest time it was me and one other guy that ran a lot of stuff. It got too big. We was really cutting a lot of our customers short, and it wasn't fair to them. I've got 2 guys now. They take rotation on nights and on weekends on who runs the service truck. When they get backed up and get busy, if I'm not available, one of them has to come back in. So it's a never-ending thing, you know. And you know, it's not like you go out on one call during the day and you're on that one call. You know, a normal day for us now, we're running about 7 to 10, 12, 13 road service calls a day, and they could be anywhere. But like I said, when you get out there, you don't know really what you got. I got a blow cooling hose. Where's it at? I don't know.
So do they usually just tow it in here and y'all fix it?
Normally, we try to fix everything roadside. You know, cooling hoses, unless it's just something that's really...
Keep all that stock?
Yeah, we keep, Our service trucks, we keep cooling hoses. A lot of the normal stuff that you're messing with every single day. Brake chambers, which operates the brake system on these trucks. Air lines, tires, anything like that, you know, we do it roadside. You go out there and you have a truck that's lost a dry shaft, lost a motor, an engine component, a transmission. Hey, I can't fix it here. That's when one of these trucks gets called. So the road service is what keeps these trucks going as well. So they kind of work hand in hand. They'll get brought back in here. We'll evaluate it. We'll give the customer the best estimate we can to clear the nearest dollar. They'll say yes, fix it.
Scrap it.
That's more than what I can spend. I'm gonna swap the truck out. I'm gonna have somebody swap, and that happens too. I mean, but it's you don't know. That's the thing about this business. I guess that's what kept me interested in it.
But none of your fees, none of that's government mandated.
Well,
because I heard a rumor one time, a friend of mine. I remember he was whining. I shouldn't probably say all this, but he was upset about they forced him to only be able to charge X amount between certain hours in the town of Christiansburg. Something I can't really remember, but
Christiansburg is now the town of Christiansburg has some mandated in-town fees as far as towing and storage and stuff like that. Here, where we are in Dublin, they don't have any of that right now. Pulaski County, which I'm not a big fan of government getting into telling me what I'm going to charge. I've said that a couple times. People don't like when I say stuff like that.
Yeah, but
that's okay.
No small business owner really likes it.
Well, my biggest thing is like I explain to everybody, you know, what it costs me to operate my wreckers is not the same as what it costs this other man. You know, everybody has different operating costs.
Exactly.
So for them, so for them to say, hey, you can only charge X amount of dollars to go tow this car that we're calling you for, that you have to take, it don't set very well for me.
I'm with you.
And one thing I'll interject there, and a lot of people don't understand, 2 people can have the same truck, they can have the same equipment, but it's hard for some people to appraise experience and your certifications. You've been to school to do this, you've done this a lot of years, and so 2 people that have the same exact truck, one of them might wind up doing damage or taking a couple extra hours and leaving an interstate block where he may not. And that's something that's hard for people to put a price tag on when they're deciding what a maximum cost should be.
Well, government.
If you go to replace this truck now, it would cost me almost triple what I paid for that truck.
Because steel's not up.
Because steel and a lot of different things, the technology in the trucks. So you're going to tell me I only get paid the same whether I upgrade trucks? It's just not fair.
And we know that would force the quality of the recovery down.
Well, I guess so. The good news is out here in Pulaski, you don't have to deal with that currently.
We'll just leave it at that. I'll say this. Currently, as of today, there's nobody else in this county that has the amount of equipment sitting here, at their disposal that we have here.
So what's the problem?
He's one of the renegades. Maybe he doesn't play well with others.
That's why he's on the podcast.
So
That's why we're friends.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I'm not real politically correct. If I see something, if I feel it, I'm gonna tell you how I feel.
Yeah.
But I do have some people that I do talk to on the board of supervisors, stuff like that, and they've helped me a lot.
You have to have a forklift to probably lift some of the heavy parts that you guys work with.
Well, the interesting thing about this is we're adding on.
Okay.
You can kind of see this has been a work in progress for the last 2 years, building these barns. When you buy the trucks and you have this type of money tied up in trucks, you don't want them just sitting out, where the sun and the weather can beat on them. So my contractor, he had a little oopsie daisy with 84 lumber, and good plug over 84 lumber. And there was a little mishap on some rafters, and so some stuff was ordered wrong, and so they're picking up what was ordered wrong. That's what you hear in the background.
Gotcha.
And do you have any plans for future expansion?
You have to look for different avenues. So right now I have two completely different business ventures that we've gone into. Actually, one 3 days ago was legal, which can I plug out?
Sure.
So
plug anything you like.
So we have a new company. It's Cory Hubbard Environmental Incorporated.
Hadn't heard the name yet.
Yeah, it's brand new. We're basically doing roll-off containers. Any type of, you're tearing a house down, dumpsters. If you're tearing a house down, you're remodeling a house.
Construction dumpsters.
Exactly. The reason why we got into that was we're on Rex. I'll put this out there too. We worked a wreck last summer. It was actually that one truck there that's been turned over and tore all the crap. It was hauling produce.
I kind of wondered what happened with that.
Yeah, the trailer was here up till about 2 weeks ago. I actually hauled it off for scrap. It was loaded with produce, as we like to call them, they're California fruit haulers. They have no insurance. They're running new stuff, however that happens. I needed roll-off containers. It took 4 roll-offs to get all this fruit into these boxes. Local agencies that were on scene contacted Pulaski County. Pulaski County, they have their own roll-off system, which is fine. They brought roll-offs out there for us, which they got out there in a timely fashion, and they helped us. What really got to me was how long it took them to give me a bill. It took them 45 days to get me a bill in my hand after numerous phone calls, if they can do business like that, that's great. I have informed everybody, if they do call somebody else, they're paying for it out of their own pocket. So that's another reason why we bought the roll-off stuff.
Gotcha.
So it kind of works hand in hand with what we do. A lot of times we go on wreck scenes, you have environmental issues. You have diesel fuel spills, you have whatever the cargo is. You have the type of issues you have to deal with. So here again, it works hand in hand. Plus, in the side time, there's also other people that need roll-offs.
So you just sort of got into it. You just needed the equipment, period. Yeah. You think it's harder nowadays than it used to be?
It all depends on what you're trying to do. It really is. When I was young, which I touched on this not on camera, but when I first got around big trucks and stuff at 18, I bought my first commercial vehicle. My mother was very upset at me. For obvious reasons. I had these big dreams.
Tell us what that was.
What was?
What the commercial vehicle was.
It was actually just a cabin chassis truck. It was a big international. It was a Class 8 truck, and we turned it into a dump truck. Little history about the truck, why I bought it. In its previous life, it actually pumped. We found paperwork in the truck where it pumped the jet fuel out of the World Trade Center basement. So,
oh my gosh, that's crazy.
We bought the truck. I turned it into a dump truck.
Why did she get mad at you?
All because I was 18 and I was buying trucks and
gas mileage is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, she was just like, "What are you doing?" And they was
spending money.
They was trying to cut me down to the 9 to 5 cloth, and that's what they wanted. And it didn't happen. But no, we got in the dump truck business, and I did run a couple dump trucks for a while. And I had 2 contractors go bankrupt on me in the same year. I lost about $14,000 in 3 months.
That they owed you?
Yeah, they owed me.
Oh gosh.
So I said, that's it. We jerked the tags, and that was it. That was the end of the dump truck business. So.
Do you have to extend terms to people? I mean,
Normally in the dump truck business, which some more history here, but
yeah.
Normally everybody's on 30 days.
Yeah.
So guess what? That they can get done with the job,
Yeah.
get their bond released.
Yeah.
We don't owe you that.
Yeah.
This truck's a 2019 Peterbilt. It's 389. It has a Miller, which Miller owns Century. Century, who builds the body, which is everything from the back of the cab plumb to the back. That's the boom sticking up in the air. This is what they call a 30-ton truck. It's got a 500 horse ISX Cummins diesel, 18-speed transmission. Wheelbase on this truck's about 320 inches long.
A passenger car is about 100 inches, so this truck is literally 3 times longer than that.
This truck is used from towing everything from medium-duty trucks all the way up to tractor trailers combination. This truck's been on numerous wrecks, winch outs. It's got 2 winches on it. It's pretty useful, especially in this market.
All right.
That's awesome.
Tell us about this guy.
This truck's a 06 Peterbilt, 379. It's 550 horse cat, 18 speed. It has another Century Miller bed on it. This one is what they call a rotator. Bless every truck driver's heart. Every time I go to tow somebody, hey, is this a rotator? This truck is a rotator.
Tell us what a rotator does.
A rotator basically is the truck that you just saw. The boom goes straight up in the air. This one, it goes straight up in the air and it turns 360 degrees. So if I pull up to an accident scene and I need to reach over a bank without having to turn my truck and block the roadway, I can pull whatever I need to up over the bank. On this truck, it's got 3 stages of boom. The boom right now is sucked all the way in.
So how far out will it reach?
This truck will go, I look at the scale on, I think it's like 30-some feet, 36 feet, 34 feet.
Wow.
Of course, the further you go out, the less strength you lose. You know, it's not as, right now sucked all the way in, you're 40-ton capacity. You boom all the way out, you start losing capacity quick.
And what do trucks like this cost new? Because they cost a little bit more than your average pickup.
Yeah, they do. The new truck there, it's, you're in the 300 range. And there's so many more options that can be done, and it's not just the truck itself, it's the body. I mean, people don't think it's how much stuff you want in the body when you buy it. When I bought that truck, I bought it pretty well stripped. There was very few things in it, and I built it the way I wanted it. I loaded what materials I needed in it, what I know I was going to use, not what the manufacturer thought I was going to use. When you get into the rotator market, this truck used was in the 4 range, 3.5, 4 range. The truck got reappraised not too long ago, and it's actually gone up in value. With the new trucks going up as high as they are, a new rotator, you're somewhere between 3/4 and I think the highest one I've heard as of yet is like 1.2, 1.3 million. So you can spend a lot of money real quick.
But they make you money.
As long as you're getting phone calls, yes sir.
So let's walk around the yard a little bit and tell us about your place and your building.
Like I said, we're sitting on about 2.5 acres, which we outgrew pretty quick, as you can tell.
And they're located at the intersection of Route 11 and Route 100 in Dublin.
Yep. We've had to build a couple structures on the property, to kind of keep our trucks in. We've actually got another addition over there going up now. And it just helps, keep the trucks inside and keeps the weather off of them.
Tell us the stories on some of these things you have in the yard here.
Well, you point and we'll talk.
Well, obviously.
We've heard about the produce truck.
Tell us about the produce truck.
That was a rollover we worked last year. Happened around the 89, 90 mile marker in Pulaski County, northbound 81. Driver lost control. He flipped it in the left lane. Of course, that's why all the damage on the left side of the truck. It ripped the whole side of the trailer apart. We had to manually unload complete load of produce. This right here was one of the last big recoveries I've worked. I think we had around 8 hours in this recovery total. We had 3 heavy wreckers, 2 roll-off trucks, a couple service trucks, multiple manpower. I mean, but that was an interesting wreck.
Now, if you notice, that truck, the new truck, is hooker number 4. The rotator here, hooker number 3, and this red truck is hooker number 2. Tell us about the Mac.
This was my second heavy that I bought. This truck, bless her heart, she's more than earned her keep. She's been all over the world. I can't tell you the amount of trips, and it's been a love-hate relationship. But this truck, I've cussed more times than what I should have, trying to keep this thing together. But
that's a pretty truck, though.
It is.
It's in good shape.
Believe it or not, that truck's a 96 model Mac. Right now it has a rear end issue, so it's sidelined. So that's kind of the story on her.
Okay. And then tell us about the black one here.
The black truck was my first heavy.
That's hooker number 1.
Yep. That truck come out of Sanford, North Carolina. Old man, older guy, he had it. His heavy market, it kind of fell off. He didn't have the market for it. He had a single axle heavy. It was more what he needed, so he got rid of this one. This truck was bought probably about a year and a half after I got into the roadside stuff. I had to make a little sacrifice. I actually had to sell 2 pickups at the time to raise the money to buy this truck. You just kind of asking me what's it take to be in business, get in business. There's times you got to make sacrifices you don't want to make. I mean, you know, to sell off 2 newer trucks to go back to an older truck to drive so you can make money with something. That's what I had to do.
I can tell you, because I've known Cory so long, he has never lived a big lifestyle. So as he's made more money, he's put it in the business. He still lives in the same modest house he's been in all of this time, still drives the same kind of vehicles, wears the same blue jeans. He's never let income be an increase in lifestyle. It's gone right back in the business, and that's a big part of why I think he's successful.
You can't, you know, like John said, I still live in the same house that we bought, I don't know, 10 years ago.
More than that.
You know, and we didn't have nowhere near this type of stuff going on then. It was a whole lot calmer, you know, times, you know. But no, you can't, just because you make $100 today don't mean you're gonna make $100 tomorrow.
That's right.
And a lot of people, I think, forget that.
That's right.
And
it's important to get out of debt and pay your stuff off.
Yeah.
And make sure you pay your
that's
folks
probably been
well.
my biggest motto here is running as close to debt free as what we can. And I mean, I know it may not look like it here in this yard, but there's a lot of stuff here that my company owns. They don't tote a note for. And the stuff that we do own a note for is getting very slim.
You must pay pretty good too, because it sounds like you keep a lot of your people. You've had them.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, they work a boatload of hours.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking 50, 60 hours on normal checks.
Yep. Yep.
There's good money in it.
That's
there
right.
really is.
That's right.
But the biggest thing is, in which I'm going to jump off track here, is they're not teaching trade in school no more. That's why there's so much a shortfall in the trade industry. And it's not just the wrecker business, mechanic business, truck drivers, it's equipment operators. You know, I think they've pushed college on so many people, pushed this stuff down their throat.
Absolutely.
These kids don't know no better.
They don't.
And now, you know, there's such a shortage.
They have no skills now.
They don't. You would not believe how many people that come through my door wanting an application. Are you hiring? Yeah. Oh, you know, they're just trying to get free money.
That's right.
But if you want to work,
there's work.
the money's endless.
I agree.
I mean, if it wasn't, these guys wouldn't be pulling this type of hours.
Exactly right. And they're making a good living doing it.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the biggest thing that really does aggravate me, and I've tried to be a really big advocate in trying to push trade. You know, I picked up a lot of trade when I was in school, and that's kind of where I'm at today now.
Yep.
When I feel like I wasn't being challenged, I jumped to something else.
Yep.
So that's a little bit on that. wrecks don't have, I mean,
That's what I was wondering.
of course during the snow time,
There's seasons.
snowfalls,
Yeah, there's wrecks.
we work
Yeah.
a lot of incidents.
Yeah.
This past winter, I've never in my life, it got to the point where I was sick and tired of pulling cables, which I said earlier that was one of our last recoveries. That was one of our last recoveries we worked during normal, like this type of weather.
Yeah.
It was hot and 75 and all that crap. During the winter, I know one night my company worked 3 recoveries, and I don't mean like this truck's down over the bank, we're going to winch him out. I mean like this thing's turned over, the load spilled. I was so sick and tired of pulling on cables that night. I didn't want to see another tow truck. I didn't care nothing about tow trucks. Do not call me about it, even if you need a tow truck. But you know, that's what we're in business for.
So is there enough companies to handle it all? Or is there a shortage? Or
In this area, I think the market's a little bit flooded at the moment with wreckers.
Okay.
I
I was just curious.
Our company, fortunately, I mean, as you see, we have several heavy wreckers sitting here. Our company's very fortunate. We stay on the road. We have a really good customer base. So you know, luckily, you'll at least see 2 of my wreckers out all the time.
We see them all the time. I've seen your wreckers everywhere all the time.
And-
One was at Fatbacks 2 days ago because the truck was broken down.
So
Yeah.
I take a lot of pride in that, especially being in it's no longer what we've been into it, and staying the business what we do.
Yeah.
I kind of pat myself on the back.
Great.
I think we do good on that. There's been a lot of talk about recoveries and towing and stuff like that. There was something that I've been wanting to kind of talk about. It's really starting to get close to home now. There's actually a law that's in place, slow down, move over law. Not many people know about it. It's kind of hush hush. Anybody gets on my Facebook, you'll see me always pushing for it. There was actually a heavy driver that got hit down around Richmond on I-95 this past week. Younger guy, they think he's going to make it. I'm kind of saying this to everybody, and I get a little shook up and a little emotional about it. I've been hit. Luckily, when I got hit by a mirror at 65 in my hip. I thought I was done, but it's just a mirror. The woman never stopped. Didn't know anything even happened. She had her cell phone stuck to her ear.
Oh, gosh.
You know.
So slow down, move over is for the work zones. Yeah.
Slow down, move over is supposed to be a flashing light law. If you see a flashing light on the side of the highway, amber, red, blue, police, fire, EMS, any kind of safety vehicle. This is a safety vehicle. There's been a lot of discussion. Is tow truck drivers first responders? In my opinion, yes, we are. Do we save people like fire and rescue? No, we don't. Has a tow truck driver saved a life? Yes, they have. I was in Baltimore this year at the tow show. I actually received an award up there with some people that I didn't even feel like I was in the same ballpark as them, because there was people up there getting awards for saving people's lives. And I mean, like, there was big articles, big write-ups, and I mean, when you're sitting there in front of these people, that's not what they do. That's not in their job description. If you sign up to be EMS, you know you're going to save people's lives. You're going to, you know, if you're a firefighter, you're going into a burning house. You're going to.
You train for that.
You train for that.
Right.
When you're a wrecker operator, there's so much stuff that people don't really see that we deal with. You know, I've been on. I had a wrecker driver go and tow a woman one day. She broke down. She actually went into cardiac arrest in her truck as he was hooking up to her, and he seen her slop over in a chair and got her help. If he hadn't acted as quick as he did, she probably wouldn't be here today. You know, so it's stuff like that people don't think that we get to see or get to deal with. We have a lot of interaction with a lot of people. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. Some of it's people that's mad at the time the word go. It is what it is. But if I could say anything in any of this, you see a truck on the side of the road, it's got flashing lights. I don't care if they're blue, purple, polka dots, whatever. Please, 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 if you can, get to the left lane, slow down. We're just like everybody else. I mean, we're no different than the person that's cooking your food, the people that's the pharmacists, the doctors, the nurses, firefighters, whatever. We just want to go home at the end of the day. We don't, you know, thank the good Lord above, I've never had to make a phone call to any of my people's families and say, hey, your husband, your son, he's left in the hospital. This truck run over him. This car hit him on side 81, 77, wherever. I don't want to make that phone call. And there ain't another company owner, operator, manager that wants to make that phone call.
I feel like that stuff goes on all the time too. I remember that kid that got hit that was weed eating at the side of the road up on Christiansburg Mountain. You know, he was working for the town.
Yep.
You know, it's terrible.
Yep.
People need to just pay attention, put their phones down.
Where I built that truck this past winter, you know, I used to think about safety, but it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. Look over your back, you hear somebody hitting a rumble strip, you duck out of the way. Now it's got to the point now, there's times I swear I think truck drivers just like, well, I'm gonna see if I can scare him today and just cut over. So all of my trucks now have road cones in them.
You mentioned when times were calmer. This is a good time to talk about your sled pulling truck, because we got to know what you do for fun when you're not working.
Well, that's kind of non-existent anymore. We used to, that was kind of a thing that I got into, that I'd been known for since back in high school. You know, I worked on a lot of diesel trucks, pickups and stuff, and we done a lot of stuff we probably shouldn't have had with them trucks back in the day, but we got into truck pulling. It was kind of a bug, it bit me. I went to one truck pull and I said, that's what we're going to do. And so we started truck pulling, and I spent tens of thousands of dollars. That's probably the one thing I was not very modest about. I did spend a lot of money in truck pulling.
But you had a lot of success.
I did. Last year I actually pulled full time, was in 16. We won the North Carolina Championship. We won several trophies, several events. But
are you still gonna do it, or are you just gonna kind of retire now that you won everything?
I kind of wanted to go out with a bang, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So much of the rules have changed.
Yeah.
Like anything else, and
I'm sure it's political too.
it is, and it's lost. The truck pulling side has lost so many supporters, and it has dwindled down to nothing. Mm-hmm. And when they're still saying, you need to buy this $5,000 part, and you need to do this, it's kind of hard to pump that kind of money into a truck when is it going to be parked next year because there's no pulls going on. So I've kind of gotten out of that.
Tell us a little bit about the property.
Well, this is kind of like the worst part to look at. This is one of our buildings we're getting ready to do demolition on here in the next year or two. As things have changed, this structure's going to be tore out. There'll be a new 3-bay steel building put in here in the next couple of years. That's kind of the deal there. The main shop up there, it's a 2-bay shop. Today it's kind of quiet in there. We have like 3 or 4 trucks that are tore down, waiting on parts. Customers okay certain work. Everything from 1 tons to road tractors, farm tractors, dump trucks come through that door. Of course, we work on most of all of our own stuff. We do all that work in-house as well.
And if you're a longtime New River Valley resident, you may recognize it's the old Sheeler construction building, and clearly the doors were added after the building was painted.
Yes, sir.
But the sign's been kept for nostalgia.
Yeah, we kind of hoping that maybe we can kind of slide it up and redo it this summer when we get ready to paint the buildings to kind of help save some of that. That truck, that thing is spinning more dirt than I can really tell about, but me and the old truck, we done a lot of truck pulling together back in the day. The cool thing about that truck is it's a 2-owner truck, come out of North Carolina, and it still has about 88,000 original miles on it.
Hard miles.
Yeah, the last few was 300 feet at a time, so yeah.
Oh, you got to tell us about the tractor. What is the story on that?
That tractor is kind of interesting. A lot of people here lately think I'm kind of trying to relive my childhood or whatever. The guy that I used to work for was a big tractor collector. He owned a lot of tractors. He's getting a little older in his age. He's kind of semi-retired out of the construction business. He got more into classic cars. So the big tractor over here, I know you're kind of a little more looking at the steel wheel tractor, but the big tractor sitting over in the corner came out of his collection. I've actually, he called me yesterday. I've got to finish cleaning out his collection this week. I think we wound up getting about 14 tractors bought out of that collection. That's kind of a side thing that I do, that I'm kind of getting back into. So that's kind of my weakness, is old tractors and old iron and stuff like that.
Tell us how comfortable that is to drive.
Well, I mean, you know, that tractor was bought at auction sale 2 years ago. It actually came from a sale that they had 7 or 8 of them tractors still left, piled up in the weeds that they had gotten over the years.
What year is it?
I think we date coded it back, and it's around like a 1919, 1920s era tractor.
100 years old.
Of course, there's a lot of parts missing off of it, as you can tell. Honestly, if a man wanted to restore the tractor and he had a deep enough wallet, the tractor would run. You could make it run again.
So metal wheels on those things.
Yep.
That's crazy.
If you look back up over here, the side of it, you'll see there's a set of plows. And actually to the left of it is an old motor grader. The one was bought at a farm sale. The motor grader was actually bought at a equipment sale out of Christiansburg. They was selling off all their assets that day. This was something that they had back in the back for however many years. It's kind of one of those things that you see it and you think it's pretty cool, and you really don't want it to see get thrown in the scrap pile somewhere. So it found its way here. So, but old tractors is kind of my weak spot. I own a pile of old tractors.
You never know what. I'll apologize for the sound in advance. There's a lot of diesel work going on in here.
We got customers, trucks we work on. Just because we're towing business don't mean we don't work on other tow companies' trucks. We got other customers we work on their trucks for. We got one of them putting the motor in. This one over here was in for some engine repair. We got another one up here for engine repair that we're working on. This is actually one of another company truck we're putting together, we're building. At this time, we don't know exactly what we're going to do with it, but it is going in our company. Of course, right now we call this Carnage Road because there's so much carnage and these piles of motors and rear ends and transmissions. So,
Do you work on backhoes and all that?
Yeah, I still work on a lot of heavy equipment. I still buy and sell stuff on the side. So
Y'all go out to places to work on it?
Yeah, the Landfield, that's probably been one of our best customers here as of late. We go and work on their big trash compactors. Some of that stuff I've never been around. And so when you're working on stuff like that, oh my God, it's unreal. It's huge.
Show us this operation.
You can call and ask questions.
This is the helpline.
Yeah. As you can tell, I got the only guy left in the shop today. He's hard at work working on one. Everybody else is out in trucks or on other jobs.
Most garages you go into, they're not using ladders to work on the car.
Right.
Tell us about your tractor collection.
There's tractors in here that I bought. There's one of them, and it's buried over on the left-hand side. I bought it when I was 16. There's tractors in here all the way from the early 40s, and these two tractors sitting here with the loaders up on them, they're in the 90s. I don't know how many tractors are in this barn. We've got them packed in there. But these are tractors I've accumulated. I've traveled counties away, hours away to buy some of these.
What do you think you'll do with them? Just
these tractors, these two sitting right here, they actually still get work. I've got a contract with one of my customers. This is the other thing that I think other businesses, which I'm not good spot on. If you ask me when I'm going through stuff, I can only tell you. I really do think the reason our business has been so successful is kind of what we said earlier. I don't ever say no. One customer of mine, they own some old laydown yards. We go down there twice a year. We mow them for them. And when I say we mow them, we bush hog them. I've got 8-foot bush hogger behind this one tractor. you have to be diversified. You have to be willing to help a customer out. I mean, if they're calling you for a reason. It's not just calling you to talk about the weather or whatever. And I think that's the biggest thing people forget. They're saying, well, I'm just a contractor. All I do is push dirt and put down gravel, or all I do is tow cars, or you can't do that. You can't. And I think that's the biggest thing where people get lost in this stuff. You know, I've got customers that we tow for. I've got customers that, you know, hey, I had a truck that got hit in the door. Would you mind putting a door on it for me? And I got somebody that's going to paint it for me. You know, stuff like that, you know, that's not what we advertise we do. They're a good customer. We help them out.
You try to do it all in-house?
Yeah, but we do everything in-house.
Wow.
We don't sub. If we sub something out, something bad just happened. But here again, when you're doing everything in-house, you've got to have the manpower to do it.
And the equipment, yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And the other thing about it is you can, I mean, you see out in the yard, I mean, you can buy enough equipment to fill a yard up, but if you ain't got the manpower to run it, it ain't worth a nickel.
That's right.
It's just everyday, day-to-day stuff. You don't know what's going to be coming in, what's coming out. You just don't know.
Fix it. Hey guys.
That's our in-house guard system there. Here's some of our certificates on the walls. This is something that they require us to do to be on our rotation list. This is our TIM certification. Every person that goes out on the interstate, whether you're an operator or just help with wrecks, you have to go through this class. So this is just one of our certificates we have.
Which truck? The record?
I've never my entire life seen a transmission locked up, an automatic transmission locked up in a truck where you couldn't push it. I couldn't push that truck. No.
This black truck?
Yeah, it was locked
This
up.
6'4" truck.
Well, this right here is some of the local hangout points of some of my clientele when they roll in.
Like 4.5 hours late, almost 5. Give it about 8
was
more
out
minutes.
last night.
Give it about 8 more minutes, and it'll be 5. You'll be 5 hours late. Wasted.
These signs, is like I said, you saw on the side of the trucks. They, I kind of like the older stuff, but a lot of these signs actually came from California. I got a buddy of mine. He's one of them pickers type guys, and he goes through, and I tell him what I was looking for, and he had people he would call, and so there for the longest time, the UPS man would stop here every day and say, "Hey, I've got you some more signs." So some of my bigger signs, they're in there in the conference room.
Some of those things get expensive.
We won't talk about that.
And tell us,
I'm into these signs too, and I've got just very few,
Yeah.
but I know how expensive they can get.
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about this.
That was the current pulling truck. It's sitting in a barn residing right now. That's the one that we actually won the championship with in North Carolina. There's a picture of me on the scales down in North Carolina, which I think was the first night I debuted that truck. At a pull, the man there standing beside of me in that one picture. He's kind of one of the biggest reasons why I stayed as long as I did. He helped me tremendous amount, not only in truck pulling, but also as far as the diesel business as well.
And you have pictures of your wreckers.
Yeah.
There's not all that many people that work on diesel engines, right? Because I mean,
There's some people that do, and there's some car shops, and they try to experiment with them. And
yeah.
we've had some stuff there, but
I now that I know, I'll be sending you folks. We have people that break down all the time that need a diesel engine worked on, or heavy equipment operators.
And there's the red truck we saw outside.
a little bit different state of.
And the trophies.
Normally on holidays and stuff, 9/11, Veterans Day. We'll put a display out. You'll see this picture out here. That's kind of been one of the things.
Wait, I've seen that. Was it at Volvo or somewhere?
No, we did it right here.
You did it right here?
We did it right here.
I've seen that. Okay.
There's been a lot. We've kind of got some publicity from it. I don't do it for that. I just do it. I've had a lot of people. Actually, this picture right here was taken from. Wasn't he?
He was a veteran.
He was a veteran.
He was like a Vietnam veteran.
And like that's like a glossy print. That ain't just some piece of paper that's printed off. And like he brought it to me, and he was pretty emotional about it, which meant a lot to me. So that's something we always try to do every, something like that goes on. We always try to do it. So it's what 4 times a year I think we put flag up.
Veterans Day,
9/11.
Memorial Day, 9/11.
So you gotta keep that on your calendar to make sure you do that.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
once you get to be known for it, you've got to make it happen.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
and that's I kind of feel like it's just one small thing that we can kind of do in the community. As far as my business, we're not hard to find. We're on every single thing. The internet, we're all over it. If you break down, flip over, we can be there within a little bit, get you out. There's tow trucks all over the world. There are all kinds of different types, all kinds of different designs and everything. The biggest thing that I can kind of stress towards the motoring public, if you break down and we come get you, it's not our fault. We didn't make your car break down. We didn't stick that nail through your tire. Don't take it out on us. We're just here just to do a service. That's probably one of the most aggravating things about our job. They kind of try to push the finger on us and try to blame us for stuff. And
They're stressed out.
and I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
I would be too, but we're there to help, not hurt. So, like I said, we all just got a job to do, and want to go home at the end of the day. Everybody else was going, was kind of looking at me like, what the heck is he doing there? Why's all these trucks out running around?
All right.
So the camera's on, so y'all can just quit talking now.
We'll edit all this out.
No, we won't.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, we probably should.
We probably should.
Yeah.
Because it's and we'll edit this out,
Yeah, let
obviously.
me take this phone call here. See, you have it?
Don't edit it out. We'll leave it.
We're rolling. Y'all keep talking.
We're rolling.
Just no. Don't edit it out.
I've had to clean up 2 tractor loads of lumber. You know how big of a pain in the butt that is when it's spread out for 3 miles.
What do y'all do with it, though? Because, I'm a lumber hoarder because we're building all kinds of stuff all the time. I need lumber.
You're good. There's a bunch of there you can go right through.
You're kidding.
I'm dead serious. We tore down a bunch of stuff.
It's full
Is
of
there
nails.
anything good?
And,
Oh yeah, there's a lot of old stuff. Up
Is there?
Piles.
Really?
Yeah.
You wouldn't mind? You
No.
don't understand. I've got problems. I'm like a salvage lunatic. But,
We're going to edit this out too.
well, yeah.
one thing I just have to ask, because I know you've got some good stories from doing this for so long. Any good stories that you want to share with these folks that you think you can or would like to?
There's probably a lot of stories I really can. I've got some stories, but I kind of need to get them PG'd out.
In fairness, I was there for some of these stories, and I know exactly the problem he's having. It's not a problem of recollection.
Another thing that we was really big into. Go on, cut this off. CD Hubbard. All right. I'll get some more information on that. We're trying to get some more local. And then we have a train coming
We're trying to trade a backhoe for a bobcat right now.
So you're trying to be like, let's make a deal kind of like that's what locked that thing up. Could have been. Don't be recording any of that, please.
This is Helga.
Oh my gosh. Tell him your real name.
I would. I'd just leave it at him.
Just like,
Helga's better.
Yeah, I would.
I don't know a real name.
Yeah,
Do you really not know
That's
my
I really
name?
have no
it's
idea.
just Helga.
What do I look like?
Helga.
I do not look like a Helga.
Right there.
It says
got a
it.
name tag.
It says it right here.
I'm in front of the desk.
Okay, it's Helga. Helga Jeep tacky.
There you go.
There we go. We got it. It's official.
We got it. Excellent.
That's great.
Call it a wrap.
Yep.